Welcome back to the Crime Decoder, where we unravel the darkest mysteries and shine a light on the stories that haunt us. Today we're diving into a heartbreaking case from East Detroit in the spring of 2019, a night of carefree partying that spiraled into a nightmare. This is the story of 3 vibrant young lives cut short, a community shattered, and a desperate attempt to bury a secret that led to unthinkable violence. It was Friday, May 25th, 2019, in East Detroit, a working-class neighborhood where weekends were for letting loose. A group of friends in their 20s gathered at a house on Devonshire Road owned by 29-year-old Lance Atterbury. The place was under construction, with exposed beams and scattered tools, but that didn't stop the party. The night was electric music blaring, drinks flowing, laughter echoing through the rooms. There were hookups in dark corners, playful arguments, and the kind of chaos that comes with a house full of young people living in the moment. As the hours ticked past midnight, the crowd thinned out. By the early morning, only 5 friends remained: Blair Keys, Paris Cameron, Alante Davis, Armand Matthews, and Timothy Blanchard. They were sprawled out in the living room, surrounded by empty bottles and the remnants of the night's festivities. The mood had shifted to a relaxed vibe, with the group joking about the drama of the evening, who flirted with who got too drunk, the usual party gossip. But that lighthearted moment was shattered. Around 4:57 a.m., what they thought were firecrackers popped near the front door. Before anyone could react, a figure burst in, a man in a black ski mask, gripping a handgun. Without a word, he opened fire, spraying bullets indiscriminately. The attack lasted mere seconds, but it left a trail of devastation. Blair dove for cover in the bathroom, heart pounding, as over 20 shots rang out. Armand hit in the chest, grabbed Timothy and scrambled toward the basement, desperate to escape. When the gunfire stopped, Blair emerged to a horrific scene. Paris Cameron and Alante Davis lay wounded in the living room, blood pooling beneath them. Armand, despite his own injury, was in the basement, pressing his hands against Timothy's chest, trying to stop the bleeding. Both survivors called 911, their voices trembling with panic. From the basement, Armand made a similar call, his voice breaking as he begged for help while holding Timothy. Emergency responders raced to the scene, but it was too late for Alante, found dead in the dining room with 2 bullet wounds. Timothy, shot 4 times, couldn't be saved despite Armand's efforts. Paris, also hit 4 times, was rushed to the hospital. As an organ donor, she was kept on life support briefly, but her injuries were too severe. She passed away, leaving her friends and family heartbroken. The 3 victims were beloved figures in their community, each with a vibrant personality and a story cut tragically short. Paris Cameron, 20, had come out as gay at 13 and began identifying as a transgender woman a year before the shooting. She was bold, unapologetic, and fiercely authentic, with a smile that lit up any room. Timothy Blanchard, also 20, went by Miami among friends. He was a fun-loving soul, always cracking jokes and staying close with his family, especially his older brother, Devil. Alante Davis, 21, known as Tay, was the life of the party silly, helpful and full of energy, as his sister fondly recalled. All 3 were proud members of the LGBTQ+ community, living openly in a world that didn't always embrace them. Their loss sent shockwaves through East Detroit, where friends and family mourned the senseless violence that stole their light. Blair Keys and Armand Matthews were the only survivors in the house when the shooting occurred. Blair escaped unharmed by hiding in the bathroom, while Armand, despite a serious chest wound, tried to save Timothy until help arrived. His injury went unnoticed in the adrenaline-fueled chaos as he focused on his friend. 2 others had been at the party earlier, but left before the attack: Lance Atterbury, the homeowner, and Brendan Suttle, Armand's new boyfriend. They were across town at Brendan's house, chatting with his mother and packing a bag, when the shooting happened. When they returned to Devonshire Road, they were met with police lights, caution tape, and the gut-wrenching news of their friends' fates. Blair and Armand couldn't identify the shooter at the scene. His ski mask obscured all but his light complexion and brown eyes. But both had a suspicion about who might have had a motive. Hours earlier, around 2:40 a.m., the group had made a quick stop at a BP gas station at Devonshire and Mac. Security footage captured the moment Paris and Alante walked in. Paris in all black with a Nike cap, Alante in a camo top. Paris noticed a young man in line, grabbed a juice from the cooler, and after a moment of hesitation, approached him at the doorway. Their conversation was off camera, but it was clear Paris was interested. The group Blair, Timothy, and others soon joined them in the store. The young man, wearing a camouflage jacket and shorts, paid for his drink and started to leave, but Paris called out to him, prompting him to return briefly. As the group left in Blair's car, parked just out of view of the external cameras, Paris leaned out the window and shouted the address of Lance's house, inviting the stranger to the party. That stranger was 18-year-old Devin Robinson, a local who lived 2 blocks away on Buckingham. He and Armin had attended the same grade school years earlier. About 20 to 30 minutes after the gas station encounter, Devin showed up at the party. The atmosphere was hazy with alcohol, and within a short time, Devin was upstairs in the master bedroom with Paris and others. Word spread through the house, with some partygoers joking that Devin was trade, a term for a man who presents as straight but engages in same-sex encounters discreetly. In the carefree chaos of the night, no one registered the potential danger of outing someone who might want to stay hidden. Investigators used neighborhood security cameras to trace Devin's movements. After the gas station, he was seen walking toward his home on Buckingham, pausing and backtracking as if conflicted about joining the group. He eventually made his way to Devonshire Road, spending about an hour at the party, mostly in the bedroom. By 4:02 a.m., he was back at the BP, where cameras caught him pacing outside, spitting, and appearing distressed before buying another drink and heading home. The shooting occurred less than an hour later. The day after the murders, Devin and his mother Mallory abruptly moved out of their Buckingham home, leaving behind a roommate who said they left in a hurry. Police released Devin's image to the public, and after a week, an anonymous tip led them to a house on the other side of Detroit. They arrested the 18-year-old, intending to charge him with 3 counts of intentional homicide. In the interrogation room, detectives laid out their evidence. Doorbell and neighborhood cameras showed a dark figure leaving Devin's house at 4:53 a.m., heading toward Devonshire, and returning at 5:01 a.m. just minutes after the shooting. The quarter-mile distance between the houses could be walked in 4 to 5 minutes or run in about 3, aligning perfectly with the timeline. Detectives claimed they had DNA evidence tying Devin to the scene. Only DNA linked him to Timothy from their encounter, not the crime itself, and pressed him about his motive. Devin admitted to being in the bedroom with Paris but denied involvement with others. In a quiet moment, he revealed his fear. He was a closeted gay man, terrified of his family finding out. "Nobody knows," he told detectives. "Not my mom, not my dad. I wanted to tell them myself." They suggested he feared being exposed after the party, where jokes about his sexuality were made openly. While he confirmed his secret, he never admitted to the murders. The trial in March 2020 was charged with emotion. Larkey's took the stand, describing the night in vivid detail. He admitted he initially didn't get a clear look at the shooter, but, by trial, was convinced it was Devin, pointing to him in the courtroom. "It was him," Blair said, describing the masked figure's build and movements. Armin, still haunted by the loss of Timothy, recounted grabbing his friend and fleeing to the basement. He didn't see the shooter but described the chaos in his desperate attempt to save Timothy, who died in his arms as police arrived. The prosecution's case hinged on the camera footage, which tracked a figure moving between Devin's home and the crime scene at the exact time of the shooting. They argued Devin, humiliated by the party's open talk about his sexuality, returned to silence the group. The defense countered that Blair and Armand couldn't definitively identify Devin as the shooter and offered no alternative explanation for the figure in the footage. Devin chose not to testify, leaving the jury to weigh the circumstantial evidence. In recorded jail calls, Devin speculated about the case, noting the state's evidence seemed weak, but never asserting his innocence or offering an alibi. His mother, Mallory, who was in a same-sex relationship, expressed frustration at media reports, labeling her son as secretly gay, insisting it wasn't a motive for a hate crime. "They're trying to make it a hate crime," she said. "But that ain't gonna fly." The jury deliberated and returned with a unanimous verdict: guilty on all counts. Devin Robinson was convicted of 3 counts of first-degree premeditated murder for the deaths of Paris Cameron, Alante Davis, and Timothy Blanchard, plus 2 counts of assault with intent to murder and firearm charges. He was sentenced to 3 life terms without parole, 10 to 20 years for assault, and 2 years for the firearm, a total of 10 counts. In April 2025, The Michigan Supreme Court ruled that mandatory life sentences for those under 21 were disproportionately harsh, allowing young convicts like Devin to seek resentencing. As of now, he's incarcerated at Chippewa Correctional Facility. The possible release date of June 2, 2056, pending any resentencing outcome. Paris, Alante, and Timothy left behind grieving families and friends who continue to honor their memories. Paris is remembered for her courage and vibrancy, Alante for his infectious energy, and Timothy for his kind heart. Their deaths, sparked by a night of revelry and one person's toxic shame, serve as a stark reminder of the consequences of fear and violence. It's a case that reminds us how quickly joy can turn to tragedy and how secrets can drive desperate acts. What do you think drove Devin to such an extreme? If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe to the Crime Decoder, and share your thoughts in the comments below.